Hey guys, it's me, Johnny Crims 2000 here, and I'd like to welcome you guys to my very first rant video. Well, it's not really a rant video per se, because it's really more a reaction to all the talk that has been going on. You can probably tell by just the title of this video what it's going to be about. If you don't know, Screwattack, a very popular video game website, very awesome by the way, you guys should check it out. I have my own profile on there, but they have this series called Death Battle, and Death Battle basically pits two different characters from two different universes and tries to find out who would win in a fight, in a death battle. And it's not just fan-made stuff where, you know, somebody gets some sprites and they just animate it using Mugen or something like that. No, they actually go out and they do their research. They crunch the numbers out. They go out and find every piece of information they can on these characters to make it a fair battle, a fair how should I put it? A fair, just they put everything into it so that they know everything or as much as they can on the character to make it as fair as possible, to see who would really win between these two characters. Now, these two characters can be from anything, from any media. They've done, for example, Spider-Man versus Batman, which I really liked. They did Mario versus Sonic. They've done Spawn versus Kratos. So it really can be from anywhere and anything. Now, this series has been going on for one season now. It's been going on for a while. I've watched pretty much every episode. All of them are very, very fun to watch, in my opinion, even if I don't know the characters specifically very well. They've all been very enjoyable. And since the beginning of the series, they've always had one matchup that they've always wanted, the fans always wanted, and that was Goku versus Superman. Now, that makes sense, right? Everybody likes Goku, everybody likes Superman. Both of them are really powerful characters, and we wanted to know who would win in a matchup. And so, Screwattack has been hyping this up for, I don't know how long, I think like since the last video, they were hyping this up and everybody's been getting really excited. Now this video, as of the moment that I am recording this, which is on January 29th, this video, it's on a Monday by the way, this video came out, I believe, on Saturday, or maybe have been yesterday, even yesterday. Or no, today's Tuesday. Crap, it did come out Sunday, my bad. And since then, everybody's been in an uproar from one side or the other. I'm not, well, whatever. Superman wins the battle. And the thing about it is that Screwattack, the guys at Death Battle, did a very, very good job at putting this thing together. You can really tell that this was their most, their most grandest, I guess, video up to date, their grandest episode up to date. They got, you know, outside help for this. They got fans from Dragon Ball. They got fans from Superman, comics, and all that stuff. They got guest people coming in to do the directing. They got voice actors to really try their best to portray the two characters, and it was really, really a very, very well done piece. And you could, I mean, normally these things last like around 10-15 minutes at most. This thing lasted a full half hour, so you can tell that they really wanted to make this very, very grandiose thing. Kind of like a, you know, if anything, the Death Battle series will be remembered for this one episode. And I personally really liked it, but unfortunately there were many, many fans, particularly those of Dragon Ball fans, that were very upset at the way that Screwattack went about doing this. And most of the blame, most of the complaint has been going on about Goku being misrepresented. Now, I've been in the YouTube forums. I haven't gone yet on the Screwattack forums. I've pretty much stuck to the YouTube comment sections and stuff like that, and response videos and stuff like that. And one of the biggest things that I've been hearing from Goku fans, Dragon Ball fans, is that they didn't represent Goku enough, that they made him seem weak and stuff like that compared to Superman. And I really just wanted to take the time now to really just, I guess, put my 2 cents as far as why Superman should have won and why I thought that they did a good job. Maybe not the best, but they did a good job with representing Goku, as opposed to people saying that, no, they treated Goku like crap. So I have a couple points here that I wanted to go over, my own interpretations of why Goku was represented the way he was and why Superman should have won from the get-go. Now, the biggest complaint about this whole thing was that some people felt that it was a very anti-Goku kind of mentality, that apparently some of the guys from Death Battle at Screwattack have this anti-anime mentality, and I just wanted to kind of debunk that right away, because if you paid attention to the credits and paid attention to the way that they did this, even if they were anti-anime and if they didn't like Goku particularly as much as they did as they liked Superman, they weren't the only ones working on this. I mean, there were, I think, about 3 different organizations or groups or websites or whatever that they consulted for the information on Goku, and they only had like 2 for Superman. So it was already, they were getting a lot of information about Goku from the fans themselves. So if anything, you should be mad at the fans if any of this information was wrong. And so that's that part. So don't blame the guys at Screwattack, blame the fans, because that's where they got the information from. That's where they kind of get most of their information from most of these death battles. Now, the other big thing about Goku is that a lot of people thought that Goku's speed was an issue, that in the video it was proven that Superman was more powerful, he was faster, and he had more durability than Goku. And I think a lot of people agreed on the part of the durability and the strength, that Superman would beast pretty much Goku, but a lot of people had issue with the speed, and I don't understand why. Now, we're talking about 2 beings that are really, really powerful, and the one thing that people use as a defense for Goku is that he has the instant transmission. Now, instant transmission, I believe, is not a viable factor as to how fast Goku is. The instant transmission is a technique that he learned how to use to teleport pretty much from one place to another. Now, you can make the argument that by teleporting, you're going very, very fast to one place or the other, but it has been shown in the anime on a few occasions, I believe, and they did point this out in the video itself, on the Death Battle video, that it has failed him before. So if it was an accurate representation of how fast Goku is, then he would be able to use instant transmission whenever he wants, instead of it failing him from time to time, as opposed to Superman, who has been shown to pretty much be fast enough to vibrate his molecules or whatever to phase through walls and stuff like that. He can do that naturally. He didn't need to learn it. He doesn't need to, concentrate or have time to, put his fingers by his forehead and concentrate on where he wants to go. If he wants to go fast to the sun, he can do it automatically. He doesn't need to focus, or he doesn't need to be given time to focus his energy to perform that skill. He can just do that automatically. So I thought that was one of inconsistent as far as Goku. People saying that Goku's faster. I don't believe it. But that's my own thing. A lot of people also had argued about why they were using Goku's GT stuff, like the stuff from the GT series. The big complaint being, why did they use the Super Saiyan 4 transformation when that wasn't canon? So basically, people were making the argument that, hey, Dragon Ball should have stopped at Dragon Ball Z. Dragon Ball GT is not canon. It's like something separate. And you know what? I actually do agree with that. I do. But I feel that had they not used the Dragon Ball GT stuff, had they not used Super Saiyan 4 Goku, this battle would have been over a long time ago. I think that when it comes to these death battles, they try to take as much as they can from as much source material as they can, as far as being correct, and so no separate continuities and stuff like that. But like, they try to get as much as they can to give the player, or not the player, the character, the best chance possible to win their match, or to average out, as if you will, their character. And Super Saiyan 4 was another transformation that he had that made him even stronger, and I think that would give him a better chance at beating Superman, which is the reason why they did it. You can make the argument that it shouldn't have been that way, that they should have just stuck with Super Saiyan 3, or I don't think you could have used the transformation Vegito and Gogeta and all that stuff, because then that's bringing another character, and that wouldn't have been fair. But I thought that they needed to use Super Saiyan 4 in order to make it fair, because that's Goku's strongest version of himself, alone anyway. So I thought that they needed to do that. As far as the power pole, that was another thing that people complained about. Why is Goku using the power pole? He never uses the power pole when he's in Super Saiyan. And that's just the nature of the death battles. You've seen people before in previous matches where they've used stuff that they don't use really on a daily basis, or they haven't used it before. Kratos, for example, had a bunch of different weapons that, yeah, he uses, but he doesn't use it all the time. But it was used just to give people an example of this is what they have in their arsenal. They can use it whenever they want, and why not? Why not have the power pole being used? It's not like it was the reason that Goku lost. He used it like a couple times, and it actually worked for a while. So why not? The other thing was that people were asking, why didn't Goku use King Kai's help? If this was in the same universe, if you've seen the video, you saw that at the beginning it showed like a news report or something, and that the Z Warriors were all watching, and it was a news report about Superman saving a plane. So it could be assumed that they live in the same planet, they live on the same universe or whatever, at least for the case of this death battle. So people were asking, well, why didn't King Kai help out Goku? If they live in the same universe, then King Kai knows or should know about Superman, and he should have given Goku some advice or something. And you know what? That makes sense. It does. It makes sense because that's what King Kai has done before. And it would make sense that King Kai would know about Superman if they all lived in the same universe. Especially given that, hey, they just watched a report on Superman on the TV. That means he is famous in their world. The only problem with that is that these death battles are supposed to be strictly one-on-one. If Goku had gotten help from King Kai, then it would have been a 2-on-1. He would have gotten outside help. And furthermore, if you're going to let Goku use King Kai's help, then what's stopping Superman from getting, let's say, Batman's help? He's a detective. He should know about Goku. He can find out stuff about Goku. Or heck, why stop there? If Goku's going to use King Kai's help, outside help, why can't Superman use the Justice League? It can be like a whole-out brawl, Justice League versus the Z Warriors. So this was done for the sake of making it fair. It was done for the sake of keeping it strictly one-on-one. And people are complaining, the Dragon Ball fans were complaining that, had he done that, he would have known about, Superman's weakness to kryptonite. He would have never destroyed the kryptonite, because that would have been his only chance of winning. And I would have, I think that was done to be fair. And again, it was just one point after the other. Why did Goku destroy the kryptonite if he knew that would have destroyed it? Well, it's part of Goku's character. He wants to have, even at the beginning, the only reason why he's fighting Superman to begin with is because he wants a challenge. So why would he let a simple little rock do the work for him? He's not. So that's why he destroyed it. Why did he use the sensu beans after being punched, with the pressure points? Well, in my estimation, if you were punched by the strongest person in the freaking universe, especially in the pressure points, you would need a sensu bean too, especially since that was Goku in his regular form. Of course he's going to use sensu beans. So that's pretty much all the stuff from the side of Goku. The other complaint, which is just a little bit more on Superman's part, was that a lot of people were kind of wondering what version or why they chose the version of Superman that they did. Now keep in mind that there have been several different versions of Superman throughout the comics, throughout the different continuities and stuff like that. Some people were like, why didn't they use the one from the animation? Why didn't they use the ones from the movie? Why didn't they use this and that? And for one, they wanted to stick closer to the original source. Now, even the original source has different versions of Superman. And I've gone on and kind of listed here on my notes 4 different versions of Superman. you have your Golden Age Superman, your Silver Age Superman, your Modern Age, and then you have Superman Prime. Now the difference between all those is that they each have their own specific, I guess, power level, if you will, their own abilities and stuff like that. Now, for the death battle, they ended up going with the Modern Age Superman because, let's face it, it's the one that people know the best. If you're into comics now, or if you've at least known of Superman, this is probably the one that you're most familiar for the more casual viewer. And it's the version that exists now. Now, if they went with the Golden Age Superman, which is the Superman that came out, you know, in the first issue, he would have been severely weakened. It wouldn't even been a fight at this point against Goku. That version of Superman would have probably lost against Goku because he doesn't fly. He doesn't run as fast as they showed on this video. He can't fly. He leaps. So he wouldn't have been able to leap towards the sun or fly towards the sun as he did in the video. So that version would have been severely weakened, and this match probably wouldn't have been as fun as it ended up being. Now, if they ended up using the Silver Age Superman, that's where the problem comes in. And people were asking why didn't they use the one from the Silver Age. Now, if you aren't familiar with the Silver Age is basically the part of the series in the comic books for Superman where it just got plain ridiculous. The amount of power that Superman possessed. You know, the stories got really campy. This was the time when when Superman was just ridiculous. I think it was shown that, you know, if he sneezed, he created a alternate universe, or this is the version of Superman where I don't know how he chained together like 9-12 different planets and was pulling them so that they wouldn't be destroyed by their dying star or something ridiculous like that. Now, if they used that Superman, this wouldn't have been a contest at all. I think they completely ignored that. The comics eventually retconned all of that through the Crisis on Infinite Earths, thankfully. And so that's the reason why they didn't choose that Superman. Now, the other thing that I wanted to mention as far as Superman Prime is they went with Modern Age. And a lot of people had an issue with why was Superman stronger than Super Saiyan 4 Goku? Why did he completely ignore the Kamehameha wave? Why did he completely ignore the Dragon Punch? I think that's what it's called. And I'm assuming people that are into Goku just don't understand what makes Superman unique, in that Superman's power is reliant on the sun. The more radiation he gets from the sun, the stronger he gets. It doesn't necessarily depend on the sun's energy per se. It depends on how long Superman absorbs the sun's rays. So, in essence, his power is unlimited. An example of that is Superman Prime. Superman Prime is a version of an alternate version, I'm assuming. I'm not very clear on that, but Superman Prime is an alternate version of Superman that happens in the future. Now, in this version, Superman goes to the sun, so he abandons Earth, and or he leaves Earth and leaves like other versions of Superman behind. I'm not exactly sure, but he goes inside of a sun, and he stays inside of the sun for 15,000 years. And in that time, he has absorbed so much of the sun's power that when he finally returns to Earth, he is pretty much a god. And the reason that's important to note is because that's pretty much shows using official sources. So this was actually in the comic books. It hasn't happened in the main timeline, but it's sort of like shows what could happen, in that if, given enough time, if Superman gets enough radiation from the sun, he can pretty much become unstoppable. And it's actually been shown before that that version of Superman is like the second most powerful being that DC has ever made, in the DC universe. The only other person that was stronger than Superman was the Presence, which is actually DC's version of God. So you can't really beat God since he's omnipotent and stuff like that. But it's important to know that because that's pretty much what ended up happening in the video, in the Death Battle video, where Superman went inside the sun. He gathered all his energy. He was absorbing the radiation from the sun. and that's how he was able to beat Goku. Now, he didn't get enough energy to where he became pretty much a god, but it just shows you how, why Superman was as strong as he was and why he was able to beat Goku. And I think people that were upset by that maybe just don't understand that aspect, or at least they choose to ignore it. So that's my little gripe with, clearing things up as far as Superman's strength and his stats and stuff like that, and why they were so ridiculous to begin with. It's just part of his character. If you want to, fuss about why did Superman, why was he able to beat Goku so fast and so easily? Well, because he can. It's just in his physiology. He is the Superman. There's a reason why they call him Superman. So the last bit that I do want to cover, and this is actually one of the things that I did agree with everybody who were complaining about the video, is that they both end up blowing the planet up. And that was something that is very uncharacteristic of both characters. And I do agree with that. I think that, however, for the sake of this, it probably would have, it was probably necessary. I mean, when you have like two titans going up against each other, there's inevitably going to be catastrophic circumstances and stuff like that. But I did have trouble with that, but in the end I can understand that, because I mean, come on, when Kamehameha Wave and the Dragon Punch versus freaking powered up Superman, of course crap is gonna go down, if you know what I mean. So so for that I could kind of understand it. The other thing was also, before I end this, people complain that, why didn't Goku just teleport Superman to another planet where, where he was away from the sun? Well, that's, there's a couple problems with that. One, Goku didn't know about Superman's weakness. People who say that was like, well, King Kai would have helped him out and told him that. Well, King Kai wasn't here. He would have gotten outside help, and that wouldn't have been fair to Superman. And the other thing is that, as mentioned in the video, he would have risked just teleporting him to another planet that has multiple suns, so that would have been twice as bad. So if he teleported Superman to Namek, for example, as far as I know, Namek still has a sun, and who knows, it might be bigger than ours. And the other thing is that he could have teleported him to another planet that had a blue sun. Now, as you know, yellow sun powers up Superman, red sun takes away his powers, but a blue sun doubles his powers. So that would have, fight would have been over like in the first 2 minutes. So yeah, there's that. So to end this little rant, sorry that this kind of went a little too long, but just to give you guys an example, I really highly encourage you guys to go to watch this video. There's a video in the description bar or description section, or wherever I decide to put it. I haven't decided yet. Maybe I'll just put a link up in the screen or something. But I really urge you guys to go look at this. It was very, very enjoyable. I really enjoyed it. I've watched it like 3 times already. The fight scene was good. The 3D, even though it looks amateurish, but it's like a good amateurish. Like if given enough time, this thing would have been amazing. Screwattack did a very good job, in my opinion. I think that they definitely did their homework. It shows. Some people are just, I think people from both sides are just disappointed. Goku fans obviously were disappointed that he lost. They thought that he was mistreated. As I said, I didn't think so. Goku's stats are just, are kind of up in the air most of the time. So Screwattack did the best they could with the information that was provided to them. And Superman fans might be upset. Oh, if he would have used, if Screwattack would have used either Silver Age Superman or Superman Prime, this thing would have been done in like a minute. This would have never lasted as long as it did. So, but either way, it's an enjoying thing. It's entertaining as all get out, and I really, really encourage you guys to check it out. Make your own decision. If you agree with some of the stuff that I did, if you disagree, if you have your own opinions, your own theories, or whatever the case may be, please leave them in the comment section. And who knows, maybe we can have a nice little debate, as I have already done so with other various YouTubers. So yeah, tell me who you thought should have won, and why. And again, thank you guys for watching. This has been Johnny Crimson 2000, and I will see you guys in my next video.